We've got some.
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
We spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit. And today, we're bringing them to you so you can take action immediately and start creating real content momentum.
If you'd like to learn more about how to turn your content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com. Oh, yeah. Today's guest is making a comeback. Yes, this is the second time we have the honor to bring today's guest to the show. She has easily been the most energetic guest of all time, but don't let that fool you. The value she delivers is out of this world.
That's right. Her mission is incredible. She currently helps female and male entrepreneurs be heard. She helps them compare better on video and make people obsessed with them. Have you ever seen any movie that leaves you speechless? I have. Well, that's what she turns you into. Those pretty awesome people that are going to leave you without any words.
She has trained thousands, actually hundreds, if not thousands of thousands. I don't know. So many people. So many people. I'm definitely butchering this intro of people on her secret sauce charisma hacking, which has grown in an insane way in the past year. Fun fact, she has been featured in films including High School Musical 2 and performed for audiences as big as 35,000 people. She is the real deal.
Please welcome back the true star of High School Musical 2, host of Charisma Hacking, the Charisma Hacker boss herself, McCall Jones!
What's up, guys? Yeah, get out of here, Zac Efron. I'm the real
Yeah, who are those guys? We don't even know.
Ashley Tisdale, who? No, get out of here. I love that. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me back. This is so fun.
Absolutely. It's party time over here. And
I know. We're ready. You know, when we're butchering the intro, that says that we are 100% ready for this show.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. It was so fun.
The real secret, McCall, is here. It's like, today it's been, we've been talking for quite a bit. The week has been pretty intense. We just launched a Facebook group. You are an expert on that, by the way. We might be able to chat a little bit of that, your community as well. But we're like completely exhausted. Yeah. So we're like, we need McCall here to like lift us up together.
Or pro tip, start with the mistake up front. So then all you can do is go up. Ooh.
It just goes up from here. Of course. You put the intro on. That was awesome.
Yes. Dude, McCall, for those who don't know you yet, like you came in, I think it was like before the first 50 episodes. So thank you for your vote of confidence. Yeah. Now we're episode 139. Insane, right? Would you give us like a little summary of like who you are, right? Like for those people that need to catch up, and I highly recommend go back. We're going to link the episode right in the description. So if you're listening, just go down and click there.
I think it was actually episode 28, if I'm not mistaken.
Episode 20.
I was little baby McCall. It's just little baby
McCall. I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to share a little bit of your story, how obviously, how everything started. Now you have a movement and we've seen it grow. We've seen you grow, have fun with it. And it's just been incredible to be a part of that journey. So share away, please. Share away.
Of course. I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest version of how the whole thing started. But yeah, guys. So charisma hacking is my business. It really is more than a business. Like they said, it's a movement. It's a way of life. I am committed to getting it in the hands of as many people as possible because it is the thing that makes a difference. The way that I started with charisma hacking really started a really long time ago. Like I said, don't get nervous. It is the Reader's Digest version. But I started as a child performer that had a lot of anxiety. I had this recurring nightmare that one day I would wake up and I wouldn't be able to sing or speak or perform or do any of these things anymore, which when all of my worth was derived in performing, that made me really nervous. And I went through a lot of different experiences trying to measure different things until I got to the point where I was performing on the program with this awesome guy named Donny Osmond. And he pulled me out of this panic attack that I was having because the audience reacted to him in a way that I'd never seen before. And so I like moved over to the side of this room divider of this backstage area that we were performing on. And I observed what he was doing. And honestly, now I'm like, all the systems that he had put in place, it really wasn't that when I was 9. I was envious of the audience and I wanted to be able to do the same thing. And I felt like the greatest way to do that, or the easiest way to do that, was to break down very specific things that he was doing and then do them myself and see how they worked. So I started breaking audience that way, and saw that he was pointing at different people and doing different things in the space, saying different things, and tackling different parts of the stage. And so as I went on to sing right after him, I did the same things, right? And I was like, okay, I can do this, and it lowered my anxiety, because as soon as I got off stage, I realized all of a sudden I had created my first checklist, the first way to actually be able to teach myself, if I did wake up one day and my nightmare came true, that I wasn't able to remember anything that I knew. Now I could break it down and reteach myself. So it was really the first checklist that I had made, first of thousands of checklists that I've made, really breaking down in like excruciating detail what it takes to be in front of people. And these tactics have really been the thing that have lowered my anxiety the most, right? Because as you think of like the abstract world that performance is, most people think like, oh, do you have it or do you not have it? Are they good with people on stage or are they not? Are they charismatic or are they not? And all these checklists took that away, right? The checklist made sure that it was a way that really anybody could learn that, even me who was afraid to wake up every day and have that be gone. So all of the details were really the thing that I focused on, and it lowered my anxiety, because instead of being like, am I going to be good or am I going to be bad? It was, oh, am I going to do this with my face, voice, body, facial expressions, all of these different things, this movement, or am I not? So I did all of those things. And then I spent 10 years perfecting these checklists until I was 18. And then I was fired from an acting job for being too fat. I know we talked about this before. It was a very low point in my life, and I vowed to never be on camera again. Luckily, within a couple of years, I had somebody approach me and ask me if I would help them do what I used to do. So I taught them a checklist, and we did a before-after video. And with this before-after video, we were able to actually see the difference. I was able to see for the first time my checklist work with somebody else, which created my whole first business. I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of before-after videos, really proving these systems that I had proven, with myself, but now it was with other people, and hundreds of other people were doing these checklists, and I had before-after videos to prove it. So I was helping entertainers sing better, speak better, be better in front of people, build trust with audiences, build a fan base, do all of these awesome things, be on camera better, be on stage better. And it was going really well. Yeah. And then I went to Funnel Hacking Live a year ago. We just hit the year mark. And I switched my whole persona, the people that I serve, to being entrepreneurs, because I saw that the impact that they could have on the world if they just had charisma hacking would be infinite. So that's the Reader's Digest version of the story. Here we are, which has been so fun.
That's pretty awesome. Somewhere along that journey, you became the true star of High School Musical 2 as well.
Yeah, right? Zac Efron.
Exactly. Like nobody knows who they are again. But that is amazing. I remember you, of course, telling us this story, but I didn't remember quite as well the part of the checklist that you said, right? And how that world is a little binary in the sense of like either you have it or you don't have it. And I found fascinating that a checklist can be the bridge between you don't have it to you have it, right? And that bridge can mean so many things, like confidence in people now when they're stepping out, right? They know exactly what they're doing. And it's a very powerful concept, right? Because it comes down to simplicity. It's something, right, like in a checklist that you can do to literally obtain something that maybe you see as, so far away. So I think it's a very powerful concept that it can be applied honestly on many areas of our lives.
Yeah. Something I want to rescue from that story, McCall, is the fact that you were a 9-year-old, right? And you just simplified things. And today, with all the distractions, everything around us, we're like, oh my God, it has to be a 100-step process. And we're like, no, man, I just observed and literally try to model what he did. And that's it, right? And I think that's a very important reminder for many of us, right? Like, and I take that to heart because, currently, as many people know, we're building the backend systems of our business. For the last year, like we've developed this amazing content production side of things that, people are taking advantage of. But at the same time, on the back end, we're like always, every single day, it's like, how can we simplify this? How can we make it easier for the team, for the client, for us? And that's a good reminder. So thank you for bringing it on, because I think most people forget. It's like as complicated as it can get. It's like, I feel like the perception is the more complicated it is, the better it is, which is completely false, right? So thank you for bringing that on and bringing that perspective, because, maybe we have to show, our kids, or in this case, Fonzie, to look at it. And if we can execute, we're good to go.
Yeah. The really interesting thing too is, I think, so what I found when I took a lot of lessons and classes from incredible coaches, incredible teachers. But what I found that was different is that I feel like a lot of people find comfort in the abstract because you can't measure it. And so they can just kind of feel it out, right? They would say things like, oh yeah, that was better, but they wouldn't be able to tell me why, or like, oh, that was worse. But once again, they weren't able to tell me why. And that was the really frustrating part for me. One of the times that I knew these checklists were truly changing my life, not just on stage, but in every area of my life. Now I call them frameworks, but they really did. They started as checklists. Was I took from 3 different voice teachers. And each one of them, one was in Texas, one was in LA, one was in Utah. All of them were the best at what they did. They all were incredible, but they all had very different methods to teach how to sing, right? And if I would use one method with a different teacher, I was doing it wrong. And they'd be like, McCall, you're not even practicing. Like, that's not what we talked about. And I felt like I was disappointing people and failing. And when I realized that with these voice teachers, each one just had a separate checklist and a different checklist. And if I could go to one and apply one thing and then turn that off and then go to the other one and apply a different checklist, I could be successful everywhere, right? It's using your mind as an instrument instead of being like, oh, okay, are you good at sales? Are you, moving forward in this way, or are you not? Instead, I just started asking myself why. Right. So when I started coaching people, I took the abstract of like being good in front of people and I broke it down into like, this is actually what that means. And this is what goes into that. Right. Where some people find comfort in that abstractness. Right. A lot of people told me, you can't really measure whether somebody's a good singer or not. You just know. Right. You can't really measure whether or not somebody's a good actress or actor. You just know. You don't know if somebody's good or bad on stage. Right. You can't measure that. You just know. And I just completely disagreed with that. And I was like, no, listen, you can measure, you can get better. And like with those before after videos, it really was the whole foundation of everything that I was doing, because if you couldn't see a difference and not only see a difference, but say why it was different, then I just believe that it was luck. Right. Sure. So yeah, every single thing was just like, okay, taking out the abstract, taking out the mystical magicalness of everything and making it very clear, cut and dry checklist of like, here's exactly what's happening. So that if you do get off stage and you don't feel awesome about a performance, a speech, something like that, instead of saying, oh my gosh, that was terrible, you say, okay, what did I do on a scale from 1 to 10 and all these things on my checklist? What was I missing and how could I get that to a 10? Right? It also just creates kindness in yourself, and it allows you to have an improvement and growth mindset instead of like, oh no, improvement's a bad thing because if I say I can get better, it means I was bad. Yeah. Right? It's hard, but it's great.
I love it. I love that mindset of measuring this type of progress, because normally most people come in with the mindset of whether, oh, I have it or I don't have it, right? Like, you hear all the time, like, I'm so awkward in front of the camera, right? I'm so, like, I joke around with this now, but I was like, oh, I get the sweaty pits and whatnot, right? I still do sometimes, when I get nervous introducing such a star like McCall Jones.
Or the star of High School Musical.
But, you hear it a lot, actually, and people are just getting that message and they just are lacking the steps necessary to get there. So I'm actually super curious, since, I don't think we've actually had the show with you since the show with you. We had it actually before pandemic. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
I know. I'm curious in that transition, because a lot more people started to get in front of cameras, right? Yeah. Started to talk more, to not knowing who is exactly on the other side of the screen. Yeah. So I'm curious to see, or to hear from you, what has been some of those changes in these people that have, started to embrace, creating content in a way, stepping in front of the camera, not only inside of the camera, but I'm extremely curious to know in their day-to-day life, because I'm sure this is of massive help in their normal life as well.
Yeah. People who dive into charisma hacking, the really interesting thing is, I think what people think charisma hacking is being better on camera, which that is a byproduct of charisma hacking. I tell every single one of my clients who like ever signs with me, it's like, okay, if your goal is being better on camera, that's great, but that's a given. You're going to be better in front of people. You're going to be good on camera. All of those things are going to come because that's a byproduct of everything that we're doing, right? What we really are creating with charisma hacking is a way to connect with people, right? The purpose of charisma hacking is to be able to move people to action. And whether that action is sales, partnerships, engagement, whatever that is the purpose of charisma hacking, is creating, I don't like to use the word authentic because I feel like it's one of those like mystical, magical words, but creating that authentic connection with people so that they trust you, so that you can be in control of their emotions and that you can move them to action, right? So the principles of charisma hacking, like you said, like using them in their everyday lives, we really make people comfortable with who they are. We make people comfortable with speaking to people about their businesses, feeling like they have something concrete to move forward with. And like I said, we're building an audience for an accurate human. This is a little bit controversial, and I apologize for that, but a lot
Say
of
it.
Yeah.
Bring it on. We love this. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into the weeds here. But a lot of times people talk about creating a character to go on camera or creating a character to be in front of people. And I'm not saying that that's not effective, because I actually think it is. Probably even the time that we were doing our first interview, it might've been a little bit before that, but where charisma hacking started was just in the tactics. I was a cocky little fool who was like, I can make anybody good on camera. Watch me, I can make anybody charismatic, which is true, but that's not the end game, to be engaging on camera. That's not the end goal. And I was taking these people and I would increase their engagement exponentially, right? They get more views, more comments, they'd be more energetic, all of these things. But we were creating an audience for a person who didn't exist. We were creating an audience for a character, right? So when they stopped our one-on-one coaching or moved into other programs, that audience went away. Or when that thing that is not sustainable because they weren't themselves, right? When they became themselves, that audience that we built for that character went away because that's not what they invested in. That's not what they paid for, right? So we've made a huge shift with charisma hacking, with going way beyond just the tactics, about being like, okay, what are the tactics that work for you? What are the tactics that we are going to actually build an audience for a sustainable content model, for a sustainable business model that are actually grounded in parts of your personality that people will be attracted to, right? We create these polarizing things where we're like, okay, we're going to leave. So there's two audiences that we talk about. We're going to leave the indifferent masses, the people who are indifferent to your message, that most people dilute their personality so that they can fit the indifferent masses. But we leave them behind and only focus on the aggressively devoted. We only focus on the people who will buy into your personality, into your message, into everything that you're doing with your business. And those clients, not only do you form a deeper connection with them, but they pay more money, they stay around longer, they're going to give you more comments, more views, they're more likely to share your stuff, their lifetime value goes up tons. So it's one of those things where, with being able to use that in your everyday life, it's not telling yourself like, oh, the version of me that I am, when I'm with myself is not good enough, so I need to become something different. It's more about embracing like, oh, this is who you are, and we need to make sure that we're showing people the most awesome charismatic version that actually exists within you, and then it builds an audience for somebody who not only exists, but that you really enjoy being.
Absolutely. That is extremely powerful. Sorry, I know you want to say some things in here.
I do. Let me talk.
I just want to string my thoughts together because it's not going to be killing me having these thoughts unanswered in my mind.
So you'd rather kill me?
But McCall, like I think it's so important what you just said, because a lot of people, I feel like they have in their mind this vision. You have this little voice in your mind that thinks how you will react or say certain things. Yeah. But then when you actually say it, there's like a big disconnect in there. It's like, oh, why didn't I say it with the jokes I wanted to say in there? Some people's like, maybe I like dark jokes, well, it's okay. Why don't you say your dark jokes? Why are you not, okay with yourself saying that? Totally. And there's that disconnect. So when people meet you for the person that you actually are, it's like, wait, there's that dissonance in there. It's like, this is kind of weird. And it is like that you you meet a YouTuber that you look up to. You're always looking at their content, and a lot of YouTubers are like a little bit over the top,
Yep.
and then you meet them on the street, and they're like, "What's up? Yeah, cool."
Yeah.
They're like, "You're nothing like I thought you would be," and it's so disappointing, right? And
Yeah.
it reminds me of a story that Alex Charfen told us, that he's like, "I've met almost all of my heroes in my life, and I've been disappointed from all of them except for one." That was Wayne Dyer,
Wayne Dyer.
right? He's like, from everybody except Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer was the only one that came across the exact same, authentic way, whether that was books, videos, audio, from in person. And I was like, wow, that is so interesting. Now, how I wanted to string this is there's this book out there.
He's not letting me talk. He's not letting me talk.
I have not read it yet, but just by reading the title, it brought so many questions. And the title of the book is "Personality Isn't Permanent." And I'm just tying this with what you're saying right now, because a lot of people talk about, you show up authentically. And like you say, most of the times is that mystic thing that's in there, like, okay, my authentic self. But guess what? Your authentic self can still be improved and become charismatic, which is, I think that's the beautiful part of this. And what you do is that you actually allow people to believe that their personalities can improve. It's not that you have to change and be somebody completely different. Totally. It's just, becoming a better person overall and more confident in themselves. So my question before my brother comes here, and I promise I'll let you.
Let you talk with the next one. Before your question, because I don't have a question, I just have a comment. I really want to highlight something that she said, and then I'll let you fight. Okay, more to come, but no, my call, this never happened in our show before. Just letting you know, this is you're gonna be pressing the first brother fight. Pick a bro, audience, pick a bro. Put it in the comments. No, I'm kidding. I just really want to highlight a couple of points that you put in there, like building an audience for a character obviously goes along the lines that what FONZI just said, focusing on the aggressively devoted, right? Like we sometimes, and I quote you every time I say this, like you said something on the first interview that really marked me. It was like, your message is your filter. Your message is your filter, right? And how can we evolve the message? Other than that, what we say is the personality, right? Like we add that element to it, and that's gonna be the filter of the people that you start hanging out with, right? Like, and I think we lived it this past week with the launch of the group. And again, like we, it was completely organic. This was not planned at all. We're like, oh, Q1, we're gonna do the group. No, this was legit. We shared a story. People resonated with it because they've been listening to that story over and over. Right. And they're like, I want to do it too. Right. And now we have 60 people being a part of this crazy challenge. Right. So cool. And we had the onboarding call yesterday, and we sat down in the debrief, and we're like, wow, every single person that's in here, it's incredible. And we felt good being ourselves. We were a little, we had the jealous, like right here. We were a little nervous before going into the private Zoom room with like all these amazing people. Right. But as soon as we started chatting, like nothing changed. It was like we were running the show, like just similar things, similar flow. It flew by. It was good. It was fun. And that's what it's all about, right? We didn't have to pretend to be something else. And I remember that thing that you said, because since that moment, I think since we started the show, we already had somewhat of a piece of that. We're not very aware, but how we are, how we do the show, embracing the mistakes. Clearly, we butchered your intro like 30 times, right? Like, it's fine. That's us. Like, you're going to see us, and that's what's going to happen, right? So I think that's like super, super valuable. And hold on. I have one more thing, FONZI, before you do the very smart comment. Sorry, my mic is going in and out. I lost it. See, that's what happens. You can ask your question.
I'll take this over, McCall. It's okay. So my question was, since you said that authenticity is something, mysterious that we cannot measure, right? Yeah. I'm sure there must be a way to measure it somehow. Yeah. So my questions to you is, have you found that way to measure authenticity, and what can we do to, increase, if this makes sense, authenticity, like within ourselves, or, close that gap between our inner voice and what we actually express?
Yeah. Okay. Such a good question, by the way. So awesome. Yes, I have found a way to measure it. Of course, I'm the measuring lady. So instead of authenticity, I say emotionally accurate or emotional accuracy. Because really what people, I think most of the time mean when they say authentic is just real, right? It's like real or not real, real or not real. And the way that I like to say it is accurate or inaccurate, right? So I will give you an example of how I try to make sure that all of our clients, all of our charisma hackers are emotionally accurate in a situation. So, for example, I was coaching this little boy. His name was Beck. He was 9. And it was his very first time acting ever. This was several years ago. And he came in, he was auditioning for this play. He was auditioning for Annie, but it was an all boys cast version of Annie, which was really interesting in and of itself. But he had memorized the script. He was ready to go, and he was really excited to dive into acting. I had taught him singing before, and he came in, and you read like the little description of how the scene is supposed to be acted out, and it's like, okay, this little boy, Molly, is supposed to be really excited about seeing these boats in this harbor, and his mom picks him up and he's excited, right? And it's like 4 lines of what he's supposed to audition with. And remember, with my whole first business, everything was based on before after videos. So before we ever started any of the coaching, I was like, okay, Beck, we're gonna do the before video. Are you ready? And he was like, yeah. He was like this awesome spastic little boy, so much energy. And I was like, okay, ready, action. And he was like, the boats, mama, you were holding me up to see the boats, and I was right there on the dock. Cut. And he's like, yeah, how was that? And I'm like, really good, Beck, that was great. So this time, what I want you to do, just an idea, I want you to be really excited to see the boats as they come up in the harbor. We're just gonna be really excited about the boats. Ready, action. He's like, yeah. The boats, mama. You are holding me up to see the boats. I see the boats in the harbor right there. Cut. And I was like, okay, good, awesome. So what if we do this? So Beck, I want you to tell me about your very favorite thing in the world. And he's like, my puppy, Snickerdoodle. Snickerdoodle's the best puppy in the world. And when I tell her to sit, she sits. And when I tell her to stay, she stays. And I was like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. I want you to talk about Snickerdoodle. But now we're going to talk about the boats as if they are Snickerdoodle. That's what we're going to do. Are you ready? And he was like, oh, yeah, okay. I was like, action. He's like, the boats, mama. You were holding me up to see the boats, and I could see them in the harbor right there. I was like, okay. So what happened is Beck didn't have any emotional context for his copy, essentially, right? This scene that he was supposed to act out, he had no emotional connection to these boats. He had no idea what being excited about a boat was supposed to be, but he did know excitement about his puppy, right? So a lot of times what happens as entrepreneurs is when we are in our real lives, we say things like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm going to do this trip and this is going to be so fun. I'm going to hang out with my husband. And then when they're excited on camera about their businesses, I got too into the Snickerdoodles and needed some water.
It's all good. We're like, tell me more, please.
But when we get excited on camera, as entrepreneurs, we're like, I'm really excited about my business. It'd be really cool. You know what I mean? And the emotional accuracy is not there. It's not the same. Instead, my husband just grabbed me more water.
Thank you, hubby.
MVP.
Right? So it's that emotionally accurate piece. Yeah. Where like, if in person, we are excited like this, right? And then on camera, we are excited like this. It's not emotionally accurate. That's not how we act when we're excited. And then we can get into the really nerdy charisma hacking things. And we can say, okay, if this emotion is this, and this emotion is different, what's missing, right? What are you doing with your voice? What are you doing with your face? What are you doing with your body when you are actually excited? How can we add those things in?
Yeah.
I'm dying. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So, my brother dances a lot when he's excited.
I know. Well, look at this, McCall. Like, I think this is great because I think before we met you, we went through our first 2 seasons of 45 Live, and I relate to this story because it was literally the fun in us, right? It's not the show, right? And the show is a little different, but when we started with the camera, it was very similar, right? And we're like, we lost practice on that aspect because we started the show. And even though we do it live, it's just a little different, right? We're interacting with somebody else, right? We have these cues to respond to. And then same thing, you know, when we started season 3, or we pretended to start season 3 before the whole shebang of the group happened, we're like, the first video, I went back at it months later. I was like, what just happened to me? Like, who is this guy? Oh, horrible, right? And then, you know what? The other day, I think I shared a video where I was like making an arepa, right? And for those who don't know, the arepa is a delicious Venezuelan food. You have to check it out. For those going to Fun Hiking Live, there's amazing restaurants. Let us know. We'll take you there in Orlando. Delish. So, anyways, I was talking about Fun Hiking Live being in Orlando, and that we're like next door to Orlando. And it's like, by the way, you guys can eat these, right? And then started just doing like, and I was legit a conversation between me and whoever was there eating the arepa. And I was the first time like I did something like that, and the engagement and everybody in there was like relating to that and like, where can we eat it? And I was like, and as you're talking like and talking about the emotions, I translated the emotions of the arepa, which I adore and is delicious, into my story. And it was very, very successful at the point that we established different conversations. And, you know, now we have people, we're going to be at Boise next week. They're like, we have to make arepas at Boise now, which is incredible. So we might be cooking arepas. But that's the thing. Like, it's like taking it, and I love how you break it down, right? Like, where's the emotional context? Attach the emotions, right? And bringing them together. So I think this is incredible. I think this is an episode that we have to share with the people in our group going through the challenge.
Totally.
Because this is going to be definitely a learning lesson there for us and for the people going there, right? So
it also, I'm so sorry. Let me add something really fast. It is something where, you know, I found this at the beginning of charisma hacking as well. Charisma, I don't define charisma as being spastic really anymore, right? It's like, it's not necessarily higher energy. It's not necessarily more over the top stuff, even though I know that that is how a lot of people would define charisma. The way that I define charisma is making strangers trust you and making those who know you aggressively devoted to you. If you're able to do that, you are charismatic, right? And everybody in the world already has somebody who's aggressively devoted to you. We are not creating this from thin air. We're just recreating aggressively devoted relationships on a massive scale, right? So as you look back at videos, I can look back at some of my videos too, right? And you see the things that you're trying to be stereotypically charismatic. The thing that you want to realize is that that's really serving no one by trying to be something that you're not, right? The really interesting thing is, like, for me, I'm a spaz, right? And I'm like all over the place and all of these things, but
I know, bless your husband. Bless your husband.
Bless my husband, exactly. Bless him, right? But a lot of people are not attracted to that. That doesn't resonate with a lot of people, right? I was charisma hacking somebody for Everyday Charisma. I won't tell you who it is. And their personality is completely different than mine. They are very sweet, more subdued, and they shared one of my videos of me charisma hacking them on their own page with their own group. And the people who saw it from my side were like, yeah, McCall, yeah, you're the best, yeah, because they're my people. But the comments that were on their page, their site, some of them were like, oh, yeah, she's fun. And some of them were like, is she on cocaine? Like, it's literally a comment that they put. And I was like, okay. You know, and at the beginning of charisma hacking, and I'm sure several years ago, that would have been so sad and so offensive. And I would have been like, oh my gosh, people don't like me. And it was so cool for me to see, because I was like, oh my gosh, this person has developed an audience that's attracted to their type of charisma. They're not drawn to me for a reason, right? My people that are drawn to me are, once again, they're not the indifferent masses. They're aggressively devoted to me because they resonate with my type of charisma. But my type of charisma is not the trump card of charisma. Not everybody is attracted to my type of charisma, right? That's why you have to make sure that you're building an audience for the right person. Because if you build it for somebody else, right? If you build it for a character that doesn't exist, people aren't going to invest in you, the person, right? You can be charismatic and be introverted and be shy and be, you know, softer spoken than I am. You can be charismatic with anything as long as you have somebody in your life that's already aggressively devoted to you. It's already worked once. Right? A spouse, a best friend, a parent, right? A sibling, whoever that may be.
Your significant other is like right next to you, right? Like
yeah.
Boyfriend, husband, wife, like
Totally.
That they see you in the best and the worst.
Yes, exactly. And I'm just and if you have that, you can recreate that on a massive scale, right? You can take that and you can recreate that with every person in your community. And why would you not want to do that, right? Why would you rather have fake relationships with people who don't care about you, who may comment once or twice, who will eventually leave, when you could have relationships that are just like that relationship you have with that aggressively devoted human? Which brings us back to the whole, like, being able to grow with your personality. As long as you are, emotionally accurate, if we want to say authentic with these people, if you're open with them and if you're being yourself, they want you to grow. And in fact, they grow with you, which is really, really cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that is so important. You just handed the key for people to allow themselves to be themselves.
Yeah.
Because so many people, I mean, it's so easy to fall into comparisons, right? See other people and be like, oh, I don't have that energy. Why am I not like that? And then that's when you start falling into out of character, if we want to put it that way, developing the audience for the wrong character. So important what you just said. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I want to transition.
Yeah, I was saying. I was good. We finally,
we're on the
same page.
Tim, we made it. Okay.
Yeah, I love this. And just so you know,
the key question is, like, do we want to transition to the same thing?
I'm pretty sure we do. I'm gonna put a little. Yeah, I'm gonna put a little bookmark in here because I do want to eventually come back into discovering emotional context and all that stuff. But for now, let's transition. And I'm sure my brother here. Let me. Should
I say, and then you say, like, oh, that was the thing?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay.
Pressure's on.
So as the show has continued, like in this past minutes, I'm perplexed on how your stories have evolved. I'm like, that's one. Obviously, you are in front of a camera most of the day, sharing your message, like, it's about the repetition, about consistency, right? And also the message, like, it's so clear. You're like, and then the fact that you were transparent, you accepted. Look, at the beginning of my thing, this is what I believed. This is what I believe now through the feedback and the execution and so on. And so many people, right, start there or try to start with the end in mind. Like, what if I change my mind? That's totally okay, right? It's the same thing happened to us through our messaging, through the content, and we found stuff that resonated with people, resonates with us internally. We're like, oh, this feels comfortable sharing because we believe in this, and then the people that believe in that comes in. So all ties down, right? And the evolution of your content is this it?
Okay.
Kinda.
Okay. You're good.
Let's go, team. Let's go. Okay. Anyways, so before we met you, or when we met you, you had the community. You started with this. You were already serving people, but then you discovered a content framework that works for you, right? And we talked about the messaging also, and like the emotions that work for us.
Yeah.
And I was going through my mind, it's like, how am I relating this to the content, right? And I love the conversations that we have with very high level people that are like, hey, give me everything, like give me all the assets. I want to publish everywhere. I'm like, whoa, slow down. Like, what is your capacity, right? Like, what is your capacity of production? What is your capacity of distribution? There's a lot of things in there, right? Because we've seen we deliver what they want, and then they can't execute because there's no capacity or resources, right? So how I see it on your end, you're talking about the capacity and resources of emotions together with your message to get it out. But also I want to shine light in how you publish, right? Because everybody out there has their own way to publishing. For us, we found the show. There's a reason we do it live. There's a reason we do it 3 times a week. There's a reason that we execute. And this program, or like this framework, might work for some people, might not work for others. So I want you to walk us through how you discover the publishing that you currently do. Like, what was the idea behind the framework on daily hacking, or the charisma hacking that you do every single day, and how are you being able to stay consistent?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's such a great question. So this is actually the new program that I'm launching in the next month, which is really fun. It's all based, so it's called 4-Figure Fans, and it teaches people how to create daily content. It has a content and outreach and a sales part of it that helps people create, fans that pay them thousands of dollars through this specific system. Because to be completely honest, Everyday Charisma, that's my daily show, has been the biggest contributor to the success of my business. Content is profit. Literally, my content is profit. So with Everyday Charisma, we figured this out.
You just trigger the horn, just saying.
I love it. With Everyday Charisma, we figured it out through a calculator. Every view, not unique view, but every view of Everyday Charisma is worth $2.50 to me. So it's crazy. It's crazy. And the way that I've created that, I call it low energy content. So the only way that that's been a sustainable content model for me is that I created a framework with this low energy content model that takes me 0 to 5 minute prep, or 0 to 5 minutes of prep a day. I have an hour of prep a week total in order to do that show. And it's been something that, because it is, so when I say low energy, I mean the energy that it takes to prep something, right? So at the very beginning of my Charisma Hacking Facebook group, I was training every single day. It was awesome. It was amazing. And it burned me out so fast, right? Having to come up with content every single day is so hard. It's so hard. It's hard to be consistent. And if you ever think to yourself, I don't have the energy to go live right now, it's not that you don't have the time, it's that it feels hard, right? We have to take out that friction, and we have to take out what makes that hard in order for it to be a sustainable content model, in order for it to actually be something that feeds your business, that feeds the profits of your business. Right. So with my low energy content, it's been really cool. It's been the thing that has drawn the most partners to me. It's been the thing that has made the most noise on the internet. Right. A lot of people have talked about like the Dream 100 strategy. I know Russell did a podcast episode for Marketing Secrets on it. Dave did a ClickFunnels radio episode on it, which was really, really nice. It's been the thing that has made the most difference in my business. And it's the thing that takes the lowest amount of energy for me, because I'm just
no.
Oh no, did I freeze?
No, hold on, you're back. You're back.
We got you back.
You held us. You're right there. That we're just gonna say that was on purpose. Editor, edit this. No, I'm kidding. It's gonna continue to be live.
All right. We almost lost you there for like 2 seconds.
It was too good for the internet to handle.
Yeah,
too much. It's too much.
Too much.
You can keep going. You can keep going with the goodness, because
honestly, it's been the thing that's made the most difference, and it's the thing that's been the lowest energy. It's the most sustainable part of my business as well, and it drives people. It drives people to my business. It drives people to Charisma Hacking. It's educational. It tells them what they need to know in order to join my programs. It establishes my authority without having to come up with trainings every single day. It's been awesome. Yeah, it's been really cool.
I love it.
Baby.
I'm so curious. I mean, first of all, thank you for sharing that. I
Hashtag
love it.
Smooth operator. Hashtag remove the friction.
Yes.
Just saying. We say it all the time.
Everything that you said about removing the friction, we believe 150,000%.
Love it.
It is literally part of the message that we preach all the time is remove the friction, right? The minimal viable content. And it looks different for everybody, but I'm very curious on how did you get to your minimum viable content, right? What was that challenge on, McCall Jones from Content is Profit episode 28 to McCall Jones, Content is Profit episode 139, right? Like, what was it that happened in there that made you say, I need to do this low friction, daily charisma hacking show, and let's see what happens?
Yeah. So it was a couple different things with charisma hacking in general. So I've had a lot of really extraordinary people be incredibly kind to me and highlight my things very early on, right? Russell, like 4 months in, was like, do something for 2CCX. And I was like, okay, right? Really, really nice. But the whole concept of charisma hacking is new, right? People don't know what that is, right? And I knew that I had to educate people on that because I don't believe, once again, we're getting controversial up in here. I love it.
Do it.
Yeah. I don't believe in paying people for friendship. I don't want anybody to pay me for mine. I love to be a lot of people's friend, but I want you to pay for solutions. I want you to pay for results. I don't want you to pay me for my friendship, right? And a lot of times at the beginning of charisma hacking, because I'm like a crazy lady, and people would come in and they'd be like, oh my gosh, I want to be close to you. Basically, I want to pay you for your friendship. And then they would be like, what is charisma hacking? After they've already really bought into my programs. And I put a firm stop to that by being like, listen, I need to educate people on what this is, because I alone, my personality alone, is not going to drive the sales of my company. It could, right? I know a lot of people are like, charisma is king, which obviously I help people be more charismatic, but you have to start with a solution that works, just ethically. I don't work with anybody who doesn't have a solution that works because of that. I don't think you should pay people for their friendship. So it started with education.
Yeah.
Like, listen, how can I show people that charisma hacking not only works, but that the people that they admire are already using its tactics and principles, right? So I started breaking down different people. It also was a really cool way for me to connect with my Dream 100 people and be like, listen, look what you're doing. Like, isn't this cool? I read people and break them down all day. And I figured, listen, I could talk about something that I'm an expert on for 15 minutes every day and educate people on what charisma hacking is, get it in front of their faces to make sure that they know that they need this, and then they will move into my programs instead of like, they know that they like me and then learn what my programs are. First say, attract them to the solution, and then you can attract them with your personality so that all your competitors become irrelevant. But I have a solution that works, and I wasn't satisfied with just having charisma and then not like very, very tight, measurable, repeatable results. So I really focused on that, and it was really important to me.
Woo.
That's awesome.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to again highlight your minimal viable content, not just your minimal viable content, but your minimal viable platform, right? Like there's some elements in there that you might identify. For us, we call it friction points. And then it's like, how do I crush that friction point? It's like, do I put a resource in there? Is my capacity really allowing me to go there? And just before this, we had a call with an amazing group of people, amazing group of entrepreneurs. They have an organization in Africa as well, right? And we were talking about the concept of their platform, right? Like they're about to launch their podcast, their show with interviews with CEOs, right? And then after that conversation, they completely flipped the conversation into the nonprofit side of their business, right? And how they want to create all this show and how they want to do a live stream in Africa, right? And I think it's a wonderful idea. Like the guy's like, hey, by the way, they're going to be in the show in about 2 weeks. So we're going to dive into that. But the conversation was like, look, if you ask me, all that idea is what it sounds amazing. It's about the consistency on like how long can you like produce that, right? Like, so we got to identify where are the friction points. So if the friction point is coordinate the live stream, so it can shoot that you guys can shoot in Africa and Canada because they're based in Canada. That might be a friction point there. What is the process to get that done, right? Do we have the resources to put in there? So going back to your definition of the low energy show, like, okay, remove the friction, right? So maybe at first to launch the show, we leave that part out. That's fine. That can come later, but build the consistency, build the systems, right? And then evolve your show. And this is when we talk about content evolution, right? Like it's not just how it looks, how it feels, the story. It's like the process also of creating your main pieces of content like you've done, right? You created first the trainings and then it evolved into your charisma hacking show, daily charisma hack, which is insane. It's incredible. We've been present every time that we can, even on a Saturday with baby Luca. I remember that's incredible. I love it. And then that has educated your audience but it causes not a lot of friction in you because you can execute on a daily basis. So I encourage everybody, if you're listening right now, well, first go watch your show, which is incredible, right?
Thank you.
Rethink like how you're publishing, are you adding friction to your own process, to your own show? There's a reason that we do this on StreamYard. Like we have all our team is like, guys, you have to go do OBS and the gamer stuff because they're all gamers and we appreciate at some point, yes, like we might get there. But right now we have no idea how to run that, or we don't even want to go do that. Because
when we have the resources and the capacity and the will to do it that way, okay, cool. Then we can talk and we'll do it that way. But right now, it's like, what can we get out of the door right now that is going to deliver massive amounts of value without having to take that much effort from our side, right? Again, just remove that friction. So Thank you so much. I'm extremely curious. I know I interrupted my brother here, but it's all good in here.
Every day happens.
Michael,
okay, I'm used to it.
I'm very curious on your 4-figure fans, and we still have a few minutes left. So feel free to explain for everybody what is going to be, what can people expect from it. The question is honestly for me. I'm like super curious. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, totally. Totally. So 4-figure fans. Yeah. So 4-figure fans is, at first it started as a course, and then I took 5 people through it as a live version of it. And we realized that it's not a course, it's a 90-day program. So it's a 90-day program that takes you through the process of creating 4-figure fans. So by the end of the program, you have created an organic lead gen source that is consistently bringing in awesome leads for you. You also build a show during it. You have a very specific charisma video outreach system, and you have the charisma hacking method of sales. My sales percentage is 70%. So we're trying to get everybody to that level, and we are creating a show kind of like Everyday Charisma, and they have this awesome outreach method. So it's this 90-day program. It's very intense, but it helps you hone in on your message. It helps you hone in on all those things. You do have to actually have a product and a solution to go through it. It is a higher level program, but so just taking the 5 people through it so far, it was life-changing for every single one of them. It was really, really cool. We did that in 3 weeks. Which was really fun. We had somebody get a sale within the first 6 days of the program, which was crazy. So 4-figure fans is coming out. It's going to be awesome. I can't take that many people through it at once, but there will be a new section starting every other week. So there will be max 10 people at a time going through the program. And then a new cohort will start every other week. Awesome. I'm really excited. So yeah, we're hoping to launch it by the end of March. It's really systemized and yeah, so I'm really excited about it. It'll be really cool.
Nice. You know what? The audience is very excited too.
Very excited.
Going crazy.
By the way, when this audio comes out, it's probably gonna be very close to that date. Not end of March, beginning of March, but still, like they can find out more. Where can they go to find out more about this?
Yeah, so charismavault.com is where I put everything. So charismavault.com, you'll also get access to just the free vault that has all the episodes of Everyday Charisma, the show that we've been talking about, in there. And then there will be a link in there to sign up, to apply and see if you're a good fit for 4-figure fans. Yeah, so charismavault.com would be so great. I also have one other thing too to add, you guys, if I can, really fast. With the minimal viable content that you guys are talking about on the platform, the thing that I think that everybody really needs to realize is 2 things. So the first one is you have to think of it as a time versus energy thing. It's not that you don't have time to do things. And I think when we get stuck in that mindset, we can really start to feel guilty about being entrepreneurs, because you can be sitting there at the end of the day and you're like, I have an hour. Why didn't I publish today? Like, I have an hour left, but it's the amount of energy that it takes, the amount of effort that it takes to put something together, right? And if it's, high time, obviously it's going to be high energy, but there are things that don't take that much time, that just take too much energy, right? It's the reason why you can only work with specific people, because if you work with the wrong people, they'll drain your energy, and you should be charging them 20 times more than the other people who take fewer energy, right? The other thing too is that everything with charisma hacking is about creating connection and trust with people. And 2 of the very key elements of doing that are consistency and predictability. So creating a show that is sustainable and that is able to be consistent, we're trying to create what's called a parasocial relationship with people. We're trying to make them feel like they are friends with us, right? So it's so important to be consistent and predictable, both with your content and your personality, so that you can actually create fans, so that you're not just creating one hit wonder videos where people watch it and then they fall out of your value ladder.
Yeah.
Right? So
that is so important. So important. We're going to have to clip this part and just send it to the world.
Bring in the fire, McCall, as always. Oh, thank you. This has been so good. And I'm very excited, and because it resonates so much with what we've done, for us, from the minimum viable content to the minimum viable platform, to working every single day in our Facebook lives. Like, there's always something new to learn and improve and work and test your message. And I think today we live in a world where technology allows us to do that on a daily basis multiple times, right? So thank you for coming on. Last couple questions. That's it. almost over. Action point for somebody that's in this publishing game. They're starting. They want to get momentum. What is your number one action point for them?
So I would say, don't create noise on the internet, please. It's one of those things that every piece of content that you put out should be leading people somewhere. Don't just create content for the sake of content, because you will burn out and people aren't gonna watch it. People feel like because people say publish, 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 they go on, they start a Facebook Live and they're like telling stories about their lives and things. And the thing that is a little bit hard to hear, but so true, is that because we're using all of our social media platforms as a business platform, if you aren't helping people first, they will not care because they don't have a reason to. They won't care about your life unless they know selfishly that you can help them first, right? So every single piece of content that you put out should be leading people somewhere. It should be either giving them education so that they can join your programs, or have a call to action to watch another video, right? It should be leading them in a direction. It should always be leading people up that customer ascension ladder, every single piece of content. If it doesn't, then that content is not doing you any favors. In fact, it's just creating distractions for people, right? When you get to the point where people are going to be obsessed with your personality, because those things are important as well, it just comes at a different order. And those things are leading people into you, the person, to invest in you, the person, even more. You just have to make sure you're ordering them the right way. So I would say, before every piece of content that you put out, write even on a Post-it note, what is the purpose of this content? Where are you leading people? Where are you leading them? Why should you put out this specific piece of content with every post that you do, every video that you do? And if you can't answer that question, you got to figure it out really quick, because it means you are publishing content that isn't doing your businesses any favors, right? And we don't want to do that. Content takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of upkeep. And if it's not helping your business, then why are you doing it? Right? We can create content that actually makes us money. Because if it's not making you money, there's no point to it. There's no point to the content. So make sure you are writing down the purpose. Where are you leading them? What's the purpose of that specific piece of content?
Whew, I love it. I love that phrase you said. They won't care about your life unless they know you can help them first. I think that is so important because, like you said, a lot of people just jump in and start telling stories.
Totally.
And at that point now you're just losing your time, wasting your resources, when first take care of other people, right? Like help them. Just that is so important. Writing down what is the purpose of this. I think that's a great activity for people that are listening right now. Do it. Go live in an hour from now, but before going live, write down what is the purpose of this piece of content. I think it is so important. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Sure.
Last question, McCall. I'm actually very excited for this because we've seen your evolution. Where would you be if you did not publish?
I wouldn't be in business if I did not publish. Oh man. Everything started with publishing. Everything started with publishing. I attracted people to me with my publishing. Publishing consistently. I wouldn't have a successful business without publishing. The whole content is profit thing, guys. I guess you can create a profit without content, but I will be honest, I don't know how, right? My entire business is based on content. The whole thing is based on content, and it's not just volume of content, it's purposeful content. It's the right kind of content. If you have the right kind of content, it feeds the profits every single day. Yes. Remember, my low energy content is worth $2.50 a view, right? It literally is a profit. Everything that I know I'm making a profit off of it. So I would not be anywhere. Content is everything. Content.
Thank you.
I think we're going to have to change the name of the show to Content is Everything.
Content is everything.
Yes. I love that.
Yes. Wow. Thank you, McCall. Today, definitely honored to have you here again for the second time.
Guys,
yes.
You guys, I didn't even talk about this, but you guys have done such awesome things since we last spoke too. We're growing.
Thank you. I know. You gotta give me that calculator. I want to run our show and our viewership into the money calculator. I want to see. I'm very curious now to see what that translates into. I'm confident because since we started the show, since we started our Facebook Lives, the very first time, things have exploded, and content is everything really for us, and obviously it translates into profit, but profit for us is not just the money but the time, your team, the change that we can create, you know, moving forward. So thank you. I think in the future I'm gonna call this out. I'm gonna be #TableFace McCall. We gotta collaborate more. I think there's synergy here. There's love. The brothers have love to share. Don't worry. Katie won't be jealous.
I love it. BIZBROS, you guys, I feel like you're my brothers. I said the same thing to Parker Woodward. I feel like I have a lot of internet like little brothers. I'm like, yeah, you guys are all just my brothers. Absolutely.
The crew.
Are you gonna be joining in Orlando on Fun Hacking Live?
Yes. Of course I will be there.
So content party. We have to figure out content party or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Well, Fonzie, any last thoughts?
No, I am extremely happy that you are here today with us, McCall. I love everything that you shared and can't wait to share this message with more people. This interview had a lot of purpose.
Yes.
And I am excited to put it out there because I know it's going to help a lot of people. So thank you so much.
Yes. McCall, any last thoughts, any last things that we might have missed?
No, do everything the BIZBROS say. I think they're brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you for the testimonial. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Contents Profit Podcast. Go ahead and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button and follow us on social media at BIZBROS Co.
That is rad. And if you find this episode impactful and full of purpose and you think McCall is awesome, please don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review. Thank you.
Bye, guys.